Tom, really the story that's come out of yesterday with Arkansas is the HB 1671, the Arkansas Student Athlete Publicity Rights Act. What do you make of this, and how is this going to hurt or help Arkansas when it comes to recruiting?
I have not gotten into behind the scenes on what it could possibly mean yet, but it's an intriguing prospect all the same, and it seems to me like power to the athlete to make decisions, to make moves, to profit off of their name, image, and likeness is all pushing in one direction. And then when the reins come in, we're not sure when the reins come back in. But at the U of A, they've already created the office or the department where they're going to, help guys manufacture their own brand, or hype their own brands and teach them about things like that. So, I think it's going to be like a lot of things. We're going to have to wait and see what the consequences are before we can evaluate.
Tom, one of the things that Tommy pointed out earlier, there's certain restrictions, like you can't use the mascot, you can't publish and be a spokesman for certain products that are kind of not necessarily the brand of Arkansas Athletics wants to be associated with. How Tommy thinks it's social media, I kind of think with them, how do you think these student athletes are going to be marketed and used, and how do you think they'll go about using themselves as sponsors of, say, a product?
Right. Well, let's take Traylon Burks. Mm-hmm. Handsome guy, very productive, well-spoken, good kid. If you're a car dealership or whatever, if you think you can get value out of him touting, your car or, your dealership, then you can pay him whatever, the going rate or what have you to appear on an ad. He just can't have the Arkansas logo in there, and I'm sure he can say that, well, I don't know what all the details are, but, hey, I'm Traylon Burks. If you want a good car, come down here, and, these guys will help you out. There's going to be some value in that. On YouTube now, different companies, like clothing companies and stuff, mm-hmm. If you're a popular person, outgoing, and you have a spark about you, you can create your own YouTube. Mike Woods did this,
right?
And he documents his days, and he does certain things. And John Fagg, the compliance deputy AD at Arkansas, told me that his daughter is very photogenic and outgoing, that she was contacted by various clothing, or I think it was, jackets or something like North Face or something, about, hey, if you wear our product and you get so many views, then, you can get paid. And so this is what these athletes are going to have to weigh and potentially cash in on.
Right. Here at the radio station, we have tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands, that follow us on our various platforms, and we get a check for the followers every month. That it's a nice little supplement. It's not we're not going to keep the lights on with it, but for a student athlete, you get a nice check, and they oftentimes will have 50, 60, 70,000 players. They really work at it. Some of these athletes can have quite the following. That's the other area I see is, hey, these platforms can place ads. You can place products as the athlete. That's, to me, where, I don't think they're going to retire on this kind of money, but, hey, an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month for someone in college, in addition to what they're already getting, is some pretty nice scratch.
Absolutely. If you attract a following by whatever your brand, your NIL can produce, mm-hmm. that's worth money. And so, I agree. I think it's a way that you are here, and because you're great in a sport or very good in a sport, people care about you, they follow you, they like you. Then there's value in that. And I've said on this air several times that I felt like when a guy like Darren McFadden is in school and he's generating, think of the publicity he generated with his Doak Walker Award wins and his Heisman Trophy candidacy. in the highlights on every Saturday that every sale of every 5 jerseys while that he was in school, there should be a small percentage that goes to him. I mean, he's the guy who was wearing number 5, Ryan Mallett in 15, Tyler Wilson in number 8. While those guys are there, why shouldn't, because that's the number associated with them, why shouldn't they get a little fraction of the sales of that jersey?
Yeah. And, you wonder what kind of distraction this creates for the coaches. What extra layer of work does this now put on Sam Pittman or Eric Musselman, their shoulders now? As you're going to have athletes, inevitably, this becomes part of their focus, part of what they're thinking about. Maybe not in the immediate, but certainly down the line. This is something coaches are going to have to figure out how they deal with, how they set rules and boundaries. Tom, I'd be interested, and I don't think any of us in the media will ever get that private, off-the-record moment with Sam Pittman. I would truly think it would be intriguing to hear what these coaches think off the record about what they're getting ready to have to deal with.
Well, we're just getting started, okay? So we don't know what all the collateral issues that are going to be raised by this. There will be a liaison in all these, schools in the athletic department to the various coaching staffs to help them deal with these things. But inevitably, there will be competition on the team between the star receiver and the star running back and the star quarterback and the star defensive end about who got what. Yeah. And it could lead to things in the locker room, and it's just inevitable. It's the way things work, and unless you can manage that and keep everyone focused on the goals, you can wind up in some trouble. Some programs that don't monitor themselves very well could wind up having some major issues. I see Sam Pittman as a guy who's got the pulse of his team, and I think we'll handle it very well. But we're just going to have to see.
One more challenge.
I do believe that. I think the Alabamas and Ohio States and Clemsons and so forth are going to wind up being able to recruit better from it, just because it adds another layers of things inducements that players can have.
I'd tend to agree with you. All right, yesterday the headline was Mike Woods leaving the program, entering the transfer portal. Help us make sense of all of this, because we see him out there. He's active, productive, a big part of the game plan in the red-white game, and then hours later, and then certainly days later, we know it's official. He's left the program. Tom, what happened here?
Yeah, there were tons of rumors on Monday, and after he announced it, he came basically to Kenny Guyton's defense, because there were a lot of rumors that there was some big clash between the two and all, and Mike Wood says, no, he's my guy. I think it has to do with, Traylon Burks became the big star last year. I mean, he was now Mike Woods had his moments, but perhaps it had something to do with who was going to be featured, who got open the most, who did KJ Jefferson target the most, and but what Mike Woods has got to realize. And by the way, really like Mike Woods. I did a big feature on him last summer about his YouTube channel. I mean, he did videos of, working out with the other wideouts, catching passes from Felipe, going on walks with his dog, his pit bull Draco. And I just think that he's got to understand, no matter where he goes, he's got to learn a playbook. He's got to ingrain himself to the fabric of the locker room. And I don't know if he's going to be a go-to number one receiver. And here, he was kind of a 1A receiver with Traylon Burks. And Oklahoma, there's a lot of speculation he'll wind up there. But will he be a top 1 or 2 or 3 wideout at OU? I don't know the answer to that. And so if his goal is to market his name and his brand, so to speak, I don't know if he helps himself with 1 year at another institution. So, but it was his choice, and more power to him. There's a lot more leeway for athletes to go now with the grad transfer rule, and if that's the way he feels, then no need to hold him back.
Yeah, with Oklahoma, by the way, we're speaking with Tom Murphy here on the Morning Rush. Joins us every Monday and Thursday at 7:20. Tom, Oklahoma his wide receiver room is crowded. Mims, Hazelwood, and they have other really high-profile guys. So if it's about touches and if it's about exposure, maybe exposure would be better because you'd be on a better team. He ain't going to get many touches there. So I'm curious, kind of like you, where he ends up. Last thing before we let you go, buddy. We had a fun conversation, hour number one, talking about how we would speak with college athletes who are looking to go to the next level and potentially get drafted by an NFL team. If you're the Atlanta Falcons owner, if you're Arthur Blank, or if you're the Atlanta Falcons head coach, who I have no idea who that is, you're going to have to help me with that.
It's Arthur Smith.
Arthur Smith. If you're one of those two guys, and you're looking at a potential quarterback prospect, running back, whatever y'all need, Tom, how are you as a Atlanta Falcons fan and just a person who wants to see them succeed, how are you talking to these college prospects to find out who you should draft? What are you doing?
Well, that's a very broad question. How committed they are to the game. If you sit down with Jalen Catalon, I think for 30 minutes, you're going to get a great idea how committed he is to studying film and being great. And I think in a lot of cases, let's just throw, this is an older case, Jamarcus Russell, quarterback LSU, had a very nice college career. For some reason, the Oakland Raiders did not properly assess what his work ethic was going to be like, what his commitment to the game was going to be like, and he wound up being a first-round bust. Ryan Leaf, he was with Chargers, right? Did not assess properly what Ryan Leaf would project to, how he would lead men. Mm-hmm. And so then you get guys like Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson who were taken, and Tom Brady later in drafts, who turn out to be great students of the game, leaders of men, and able to process things quickly. So it is a difficult task. I was on a conference call with Dan Orlovsky a couple of days ago when he talked about how people assess quarterback. Like, general managers and head coaches are hired and fired if you can develop and spot quarterback talent. It's a difficult thing. I'm worried about my Falcons this coming year. We have a lot of issues defensively, protecting the quarterback, all kind of issues. But I do think we're probably going to get a quarterback late. And, hey, maybe 4th, 5th, 6th round, Felipe, I could see him going to the Falcons.
Tom Murphy, every Monday and Thursday, 7:20. We appreciate it, buddy. We'll do it again on Monday, okay?
You bet. It sounds good.